preparing. I probably should hit record. We'll do that when I come back.
I've got that YouTube sign on, friend.
Amazing. And
Baby girl, you're still a flower. Hey, Kendall.
hello.
Yeah, it is.
Did that a little backwards. Hello, Michelle.
Hey, Kendall.
How are you?
I good, Kendall. Um, I forgot to mention to you that I have to bake cookies tonight for tomorrow.
Oh, what's going on tomorrow?
So my director and my castmate, we just decided that we wanted to have like a chocolate chip cookie bake off. Not a competition, wink, wink. We keep repeating. We're like, let's just have it on Good Friday. So we're like, okay, we'll
Who's
have a
doing the
Good Friday
winking
bake
in
off.
that? Who's doing the winking?
We all kind of are. I could care less. I don't care if people like my cookie more than somebody else's. I said I would do it, so I'm gonna stay up late tonight and bake a cookie. But I just think it'll be fun to eat cookies
Hmm.
and see what folks are working with. You know, it's always interesting to be like, I just met you. What does your food taste like?
Yeah,
I can make that better than you, don't you think?
that makes me nervous eating other people's food.
I'm so satisfied by you eating this blueberry cheesecake right now. I cannot even express.
Can we talk about it? So during our snack unpack, Joe said I never eat during our calls, which
That
sometimes
is,
I'm too busy yapping.
mm-hmm.
And today I was like, oh, well, let me get something that I'm actually gonna eat. And this is a blueberry cheesecake. It's a slice of cheesecake from a very overpriced organic store up the way from me, and it was $5.75 for this slice. And when I tell you that this is the worst piece of cheesecake I've ever had in my life,
Oh, I'm 75. That's not bad for that cheesecake.
they should pay me $5.75.
I'm so sorry. You barely got into it.
I got to it enough. You know when you're like, it's a, anyway, the idea of a blueberry cheesecake in general is shaky at best. So I knew going into it, I would be, have some things to contend with. Michelle, where are your snacks?
I've got toast yays, French toast inspired cookies dipped in delicious icing. There's the cookie. These are discontinued. I have said this before and I'm going to say it again. This is a Girl Scout cookie. Take a good look at this.
Take
This
a good look.
cookie, y'all, are the reason why I will not be able to have these anymore because they're no longer going to sell these. Every time we were out in the world and we're like, would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies? Oh, I don't know. Which one are your favorites? The Toast Yays are my favorite. What is that? It's French toast inspired with dipping icing on the other side. It's giving cinnamon toast crunch vibes. Oh, I think I'm just gonna have you know what? Why did you ask me what kind was my favorite if this is what we were gonna do? Because now they're going away.
Yeah.
And I am on the black market trying to get these. Oh, they are so good. They are so very good. You do yourself a favor and try to get you one of these.
So I've never had cinnamon toast crunch, number one.
What?
I've never in my and I loved cereal growing. I love cereal, but and there was four of us growing up, two boys, two girls. Cinnamon toast crunch never made its way in my house.
I
Never.
refuse to believe that. I think that you blocked it out. Something traumatic
No,
happened and you blocked. There's no way in the world you
no.
have
I can
never had
tell
cinnamon
you,
toast crunch.
heavy rotation, Rice Krispie treats, Frosted Flakes, Chex, anything Captain Crunch.
I
And,
like
and
Captain Crunch.
all made Pops. Pops made it. But no, never Cinnamon Toast Crunch never made it. Smacks was my jam.
We don't like any of the same cereals.
What did you have besides Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
I had things with color. Why are all your cereals brown? Not that anything is wrong with brown,
Thank
brown
you.
and beige. I had Fruity Pebbles. We had Apple Jacks. We had
Apple
Lucky
Jacks are good.
Charms. We had Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Um, Frosted Flakes was a staple because that's what my mom ate. They were really good though. But you know what people be sleeping on that we never wanted to eat as a child?
What?
Raisin Bran.
I
That
have
might be
never,
the most cracked out cereal on the market. So much sugar in there.
I've
You
never had
will get a
Raisin Bran.
bowel movement, but you will also have a diabetic spike. That is some good cereal.
I also feel like people were sleeping on, and this was an older person cereal, but it slapped with Special K.
I cannot stand Special K.
It
I tried.
slapped. I swear.
Did you get the kind with the dehydrated strawberries?
Now I
No.
dumped sugar in it. I was 10 years old. I
Well,
dumped
I bet it did slap after you dumped sugar in, just like Rice Krispies
just like
slaps
Rice
once
Krispies.
you dump
Yes,
sugar in it.
yes, just like Rice Krispies. Just like Rice Krispies. Okay. All right. Last thing about cereal, because this is very interesting. What is your favorite cereal? Because I'm that'll reveal a lot, like about us as humans on this earth.
As humans on this earth, honestly, it's difficult, but I think Cinnamon Toast Crunch is an easy go-to answer, honestly.
Wow. Wow.
It's
Okay.
really good.
Okay. I would have to go with Chex. I love Chex.
It's not even a cereal. You put it in a bowl and you eat it at parties. Doesn't it have salt in it? You like salt in your, what
that's,
is going on?
that's
That's
actually so
not even.
because I didn't even think about people do use it for trail mix. Anyway, that's actually very true. They do use it. But Chex is so good. I love Chex because it's like kind of but not like too.
When you say Chex, I'm imagining you pouring a bowl of Gardettos into a bowl of milk. That's what Chex equals in my mind. I'm having a really hard time separating from that.
Yeah. No, I'm
But
with you.
I think there is a version where there's like sugar coating and I don't know. That's to
That's
each his own.
to each his own. To each his own. To each his own. Okay. Now for the main event.
Yes.
How'd you feel about this week's episode? Not today, Satan.
Kendall, I felt like this was the most entertaining episode of them all. Was it just
Oh,
me?
okay.
I enjoyed it the most of all. There I have a name for it. You know how we say if you had to title this episode, what would you call it? What would you call it? I've got one. Do you have one? I've got one.
No, you go.
I would title it The Pregnant Pause. There
The
was a lot of pauses. There was a lot of like what you just did that happened throughout the show. Kendall leaned forward with an eyebrow raised, like, what are you talking about? There was so much acting not on the line, like in the moments. Think about it. The doctor, when she was
yeah.
like the SSID lady, and this is who you writing this over to?
These are all black actors, by the way.
Right. And then even there was a whole bunch of it in the doctor's office. Dule is like, and the mom's like,
Everyone is, yeah.
and the doctor's like, and Natalia's like, these I'm doing a whole bunch of pregnant pauses and like neck snaps, whipper snaps.
That's funny.
That's what I call it, the pregnant pause.
I
Um,
agree with that.
I
I
like this
agree with that,
episode.
Michelle. I agree with
I love
that.
seeing new faces. I'm glad that you agree. I love seeing new faces. I looked up some of the faces because I was so impressed by the work. Um, and I thought, Kendall, as I was watching, last time you said I smell an Emmy. And I said, yeah, me too. And I thought, well, because of the work that she's doing. But this time, this episode, it really dropped in for me. I was like, yeah, no.
Miss Imogen.
Imogen she
Miss
was,
Imogen.
those pregnant pauses in this episode there was so much acting not on the line. I really appreciated it.
I feel like I'm with you, and I feel like Imogen really came. She was strong. I think everyone was strong. I had some issues with this episode,
Okay.
technical
Oh,
issues,
I know what your issues
technical
are.
issues. Um, and it was, I will say that there was a continuation of the last episode into this episode that I really enjoyed. Maybe it's because we are looking at it from Natalia's standpoint, but I'm enjoying the intimacy of this episode, these episodes. They feel closer to the breast. They feel so much closer, almost like a whisper, something that seems very intimate about this. And I do enjoy that. But there were a few technicals that I was like, almost dropped my glass. So let's get into it.
And I cannot wait until we get there. Uh, okay, Kendall. So,
All right. So we start things off. Natalia, we keep going back and forth, right? So this is a little bouncy game that we play at the very beginning of every episode. We start with Natalia, you know, recounting her experiences in 2011. Um, and she's looking and she's talking about when Christine gave her tampons for the first time. And this is very important. She says, and we have Dule doing his detective job,
yeah.
interrogating her,
Yeah.
and she is talking about how she's getting tampons for the first time, and she's really confused about if she got a tampon, if she needed a tampon, what that whole thing was about. But in this moment, when she's in this interrogation room with Dule, she reveals that the first time she ever saw herself actually have a period, quote unquote,
Right.
was after Christine showed her how to use a tampon. So there's a big what there.
Yeah. And even now, Kendall, it's cringing is not even the word for that feeling of it was almost like gut wrenching when she said that, because I kind of knew she was about to say it. And I felt like this episode, well, I should say this scene really captured the real life feelings that you have when you watch the story, the
Mm.
docuseries, because, or even when you just hear it in passing, because you're searching for clarification to understand what cannot really be understood, to understand that which is so awful and so terrible. And I could see Dule there trying to be like, okay, so you got it, but it was after?
But to understand what you already know. That's it.
Yes. 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 That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Because, like I just said, I knew what she was going to say, but you're so scared. You don't want to know what you think. You know,
Yes.
she's been abused, but you're like, I wish you would just say something different. I wish you were saying something, but it's not. And you can imagine, I love calling him Dule. What is he? Is Detective Duquesne or something?
Yeah,
Duquesne?
I think that's what it is.
Something like that. I loved seeing him really do well at having a conversation that most men don't want to talk about in general, but and then with a child, and then to try to get the intricacies of what she was telling. You could tell by her demeanor that she was scared. Again, you could tell that she was abused. And when we drop into the scene, Kendall, Christine has this quiet, understated relentlessness
Mm.
about her that is absolutely terrifying, because she just calls Natalia's name. And it's very similar to when she was nice, Christine, when we were on the other perspective. Natalia, Natalia, and chills just come down her spine, down Natalia's spine, because she knows every interaction with Christine causes me pain.
Yep.
Every interaction with Christine is going to cause a problem, and she just, trembles at the calling of her name. Um, before I wrote down, Kendall, that before I even knew what was in that package, I knew it was tampons.
Mm.
And I knew what was going to happen. Christine busts in and she's like, "Well, what's going on? It's why do I can't keep finding these dirty socks, these bloody socks. So what are you doing? Oh, I'll keep take care of them. Okay, okay. Well, what are you gonna use? Well, here I got you something." She takes it out and Natalia looks at it. She's like, "Well, what is this?" She was like, They're tampons. What do you mean? I thought you knew
Yeah.
how to use them. Do you or do you not? Oh, I'm actually not sure. And Christine barges in and just closes the door, and terror, alarm just comes all over Natalia. And she's like, "Oh, no, 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 no! Actually, I do remember." She was like, "Calm down. I got this. I'm going to show you how to use it." And we just see the door close, and your stomach just falls out. Your stomach just drops to the bottom because you know what she did in there, and it's
You know what
terrible.
you did in there. So then after this flashback, we go back to present time and we see Natalia Grace sitting in her GED course class. She's living alone. She's scared to interact. She has no friends, and this is where we are in her life. Um, we just see Natalia struggling day to day to day to day to day, which culminates in her walking, hobbling, and I use that term as nicely as I possibly can because she's hurt. She needs surgery, so
Yeah.
she's hobbling around, and we find her actually in a alley with blisters, sitting down on a grocery cart, um, just writhing in pain, and a woman, a lady, a stranger,
Hmm.
approaches her
Yeah.
and offers to help her. Um, and this is where things start to take a turn for Natalia from one family to another. She doesn't know it, but this is where things start to take a turn. So, as she's sitting in that alleyway, the woman is really just trying to be nice.
Hmm.
She's like, "Can I get you a band aid? Can I offer you a ride? Can I do something for you?" And Natalia, whether she's 22 or 8, she's thinking stranger danger. She's like, "No, leave me alone. No."
Hmm.
But the woman is very, very persistent.
Yeah.
And she's so persistent that as she's trying to convince Natalia that she needs her help, they hear gunshots, and that's all they need. And Natalia is in the car after that.
Yep. Yep, that was the thing that won her over. And you know that on top of the stranger danger, Kendall, is the danger of talking to a stranger because her mama told her not to. She basically told her to be invisible, stay in this apartment, go to class, and go back. And so,
Yep.
that point, Natalia did understand. I'm not supposed to talk to folks.
So they
Uh,
get in the car, and the woman is in her. You know, she's this woman is, and you know, a stranger danger is real because and those kind of sayings are real because they
yes.
are true, like they're true.
Yeah.
Um, and so she has Natalia in the car, and the woman is being sort of nice, but also sort of prying,
Mm-hmm.
but sort of nice. So
Yep.
she's telling her a little bit about herself. She introduces herself. Her name is Cynthia. Um, and she is starting to share a little bit about her family. You know, she says she has 7 kids, and you know, she's just sharing some things. And
Yeah.
Natalia is extremely defensive. She says her
Yeah.
family is in Canada, and she really just is like a battered child at this point. She's really just like a dog in the corner, just trying to like. She wants a ride because she can't walk, but she knows she shouldn't be talking to this woman. And they finally get to Natalia's house, and what happens next?
Um, Well, Cynthia very nicely gets her mail for her because,
Yep.
Natalia can't reach that. And she's like, "Oh," Natalia's like, "Oh, okay, I'm good now. You can go." And she's like, "Oh, I really need to use the bathroom. Can I please?" She's like, "I'll be super quick." And Natalia's like, "I didn't clean up, And she's like, "Oh, pretty please, I'll be super quick." We come in, and Cynthia is taken aback by what she sees because she's looking at this little girl living in squalor. Um, she goes to the phone. She sees there's no dial tone. She says, "I thought you said your parents call you every day. You don't even have a dial tone. What's going on?"
Lie number one. Lie
Right.
number
And
one.
Natalia's looking all around trying to piece things together. And
And you know what? Before you go further, I just want to say this is the you know it's very important. These establishing shots are so important because they're actually what happened in real life when we meet people.
yeah,
Um, it's the little thing, it's the tiny little things that someone will tell you that you remember. And if they lie about it, that means they're lying about something else. So
yep,
all of these little tiny things are so important because Cynthia is really building a case. What kind of case? We don't know. But
right.
again, if I were helping you, I don't believe that I would feel so entitled as to check your mail. Let's start there. Keep going.
Yeah. 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 She's so they get to, and you don't know that she's doing that just yet until they start talking about groceries. Help me out, Kim, because I don't remember exactly how she said, oh, she was like, you don't seem to have any groceries. She was like, oh, well, I haven't been in a while. It's like, well, how do you get there? My landlord takes me. Okay, well, we should probably get some groceries. And she said, I don't remember what Natalia says, but Cynthia was like, well, you can get you some with this EBT card you got right there. And I remember thinking, dang, how did she find that so fast?
But you know where she got the EBT card from?
The mail,
The
right?
mail.
Right. But she didn't even open it. It was like, so you come to understand in your adult mind, like, wait a minute, okay, so she got the mail. I didn't necessarily see her open it. So she knows what EBT card looks like when it's in the envelope.
She's of
She's
the
got some
system and in the
experience
system. She
here.
got some experience
Yes.
here. All
Oh, and
right.
yeah, her sweet nature. Even Natalia is like, what am I working with here? She's analyzing to see, is she trying to get something from me? Is she nice? And do I want to take the risk with
Yeah.
what, I'm already scared about with my parents? So
I think this episode wasn't all about risk for Natalia. It was
it was,
all
yes,
about risk. It was
it
all
was
about
about
risk.
risk.
Yeah, and Imogen played that up very well in her acting.
Hmm.
You could see the risk every time she took an invitation or every time she was doing something. It was all about risk for Imogen. So really great
Yes,
for catching that.
yes.
So they make their way to Kroger. They make their way to Kroger. Kroger, for those who you do not know, it's owned by Albertson. It's a grocery store in the Midwest. I used to shop at Kroger. Kroger's really big in the Midwest, and so think of it.
Kroger's down here too. Kroger's is
Okay, you guys
quite,
have a Kroger?
yeah, and my sissy has one in Atlanta. Kroger's is,
Oh, I didn't know it was that huge. I knew it was big, but I thought it was more of a Midwest thing.
yep. I mean, I think it started in Ohio, but yeah, we got them.
All right now, so y'all get that fried chicken too. I get that fried chicken.
I don't get that fried chicken.
So they're in line at Kroger, and things just softly are coming undone with Cynthia. Just softly, uh, they're in the line, and Natalia is super hesitant. She's eating not banana. She's eating donuts like it's going out of style, and they go. The gentleman is ringing up the food at the Kroger, and the bill comes up to almost $250. And this is the pause. As they pause, because it's really $250 worth of groceries that's going to Cynthia's house because she promised to cook for Natalia.
Yes.
Um, and as they go, as the man is waiting, everyone's waiting. They take a long pause for someone to pay the bill because that's what happens when you ring up stuff and there's no much more stuff to ring up. She says, Natalia, uh, she basically convinces Natalia if she cooks for her that and she gives her the food to take back home. Will
She
Natalia pay for this with her brand new EBT card that Cynthia found in the mail? So this
the
is trick after trick after trick after trick.
Yes. And Cynthia does it so well. She's got this nice way of talking and this beautiful, you can tell she has a lot of experience with children because she knows how to calm uh Natalia's fear. She knows how to allay her fears, how to help her like peel back those defensive layers. Um, and the guy goes, "Yeah, so it's gonna be 250.82." And Cynthia just stares and she decides. That was the first big, she decides, I'm gonna turn my head and I'm gonna ask this girl for this EBT card. And
Yeah.
she, hey, Natalia, I bet you would just love to be meet my kids and have dinner with us. And I know you want some mac and cheese. And when you come hang out with us, eat dinner, and then when you're done, we can take all the groceries back to your place. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. Well, since these are going to be, like your groceries and I'm going to make you this meal, I kind of need to use your card. Can we use your EBT card? And you see Natalia like process. She
Mm-hmm.
understands this adult wants something from me. I've been in this position before. She knows what it's like when she's being used. And she hands over the card probably because she's hungry and because she's being pressured. These are we're trained to think that adults are supposed to help us,
Yep.
but Natalia across the board has dealt with adults who mean her no good. Who
Yeah.
mean no good, bless her heart. And so she's very confused because this lady seems nice and she's offering something, but I gotta give something in return. So the transaction happens and they head on over to Cynthia's place and they pull up and Natalia's like, I thought we were going to your house. She was like, no, this is you see, you can't I feel like Natalia, you couldn't tell what that building
Yeah,
was.
but you saw a
And I
huge,
was like, well,
you saw a huge.
you saw a huge cross.
So we knew
Yes.
that it was something religious,
I
and
knew something.
you knew something. And so Natalia is like, I thought you lived, and she says we do. We live our house. We live behind the church. We live
Yeah.
behind the church.
Yeah.
And so they they go into the house, and this is where things get shaky for me. Technically shaky, if
Oh
you.
my gosh. Oh, Kendall, wait. Can I tell you what I wrote? Or
Yes.
do you I wrote in all caps. Kendall, you said all these chillins were white. I wish you could see it. I wrote that in all caps. I paused. You can't see that. I paused that thing and I said, wait a minute. Kendall gave me a whole rundown
Run
about
up.
chillins being really a run up about these chillins being white and what that communicated about the family and da 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 da. Da. And it wasn't not an area. Was there one white? There wasn't one white child
One.
there. There
There
was
was
one.
one. And I said to myself as I'm watching this, now to the producers of this show, when they listen to this podcast, I would love to talk to you to figure out what this choice was because you're trying to convey something here. And I'm not necessarily sure what it is. I think I know, but I would love for you to tell me that in real life, all of these children, they are in Muncie, Indiana, which is a predominantly white town. It's predominantly white. It's a college town. And all of the kids in the documentary, all of them, maybe I think one was a biracial child, were white children from humble means. And now we see that you guys have made a choice to make all of the children black, which is really an
Or
interesting
biracial or some there's some black in there some kind of way or something
something.
brown. They're definitely brown.
Something brown.
Yeah.
So that's a choice that was made here that really is a technical foul on the part of the producers, in my opinion, because it really is not really showing what that town actually is. And so that's one thing. But moving right along, Natalia is taken aback by all of the children in the space, but she does make sort of friends with one of the girls who's on the ground making a coloring book or something. She's making a card actually,
Making a card.
a card for her
Mhm.
actual birth mother. And
Yeah.
Natalia's like, "Oh, that's so cool, that's so cool," and they have a moment, the two. But then Cynthia comes back into the room, and the girl hides the card.
And she says, "Don't tell Mama C," which is what they call Cynthia. So you understand right there that there's something going
Rotten in
on
the
in the
state
family.
of Denmark. There is something
Okay.
rotten in the state of Denmark, and that is another thing that lets us know everything may not be what it seems.
Yeah. Kendall, I want to know why you think these children aren't white. I don't know if this needs to be on another episode, but you brought it up.
Why they
Why
rewrote
are
the
they not
character?
cast as white? Yeah.
I think this is the first time that they brown washed something. Usually they whitewash something. They brown washed this. Um, and I think it's because it's easier to believe that children who need assistance and are easy to take advantage of are going to be brown children as opposed to white children. It's
Hmm.
easier to believe that disadvantaged people and children come from backgrounds of black and brown homes as opposed to white homes. And I am from Indiana, a predominantly white state. People who need assistance and children who need assistance come from all backgrounds.
Hmm.
But they are painting a picture here deliberately to show that there's something else that Christine said too. She said something like, oh, this is the hood. They're trying to characterize Christine having a black partner who was introduced here right after.
Cynthia.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
They're trying to characterize Cynthia, who has the black partner who's introduced right after, as a particular type of white woman.
Hmm.
And that also may be the reason why in this episode, all of the supporting cast was black. They are painting her in a way. And yeah, there's something really off there. And it also could be this kind of um overarching uh, presence of church here. There's this kind of Baptist church thing that's taking place as well, which is usually black people. And I think that they thought it just would look better in general for disadvantaged children to be black, a
Hmm.
black church, and a woman who's with a black man. It all seems good for whoever was writing this, but in reality, that's not the case.
Hmm. I thought about that. Not to, my opinion is that when you told me that in real life all of the kids were white, and how, just like, what that meant for that family, is it like you say, that's just all of the children that would be in the town, or did they only want to adopt all white children? Is that who was, available for needing assistance, quote unquote, which can say they say they're trying to help. But it does, I think, with the father being a black man, it does communicate something that all of the children that they've taken in are white. Um,
Yes,
you
in
can
real life.
determine on your own, or not determine, or decide on your own what you feel like it communicates, because everybody's going to feel a little something different, but it communicates something. And I think they felt like it would pull away from, maybe, to cast it in real life, because even I'm thinking, when you told me, I'm like, what's that about? I wonder, what does that say about her? What does that say about him?
What
And
is
I think they thought, rather than do that and pull away from the fact that this family takes children, doesn't necessarily do it in a savory way, has got some unsavory things going on with the parents and visitation and taking the kids things, rather than do that, let's stick with something that you may not, if you didn't know the true story, you wouldn't uh raise an eyebrow about it, I guess.
because it is also easier to believe and
Mm.
swallow that disadvantaged children are coming from a black background, not a white background. But in reality, in that town, most disadvantaged people are white. So
Mm.
that's the other thing. I hear what you're saying, but
Yeah.
it is that other kind of like, oh, it's easier to believe.
Look here, we got to have the producers on. I definitely, we got to have the producers on and ask this question. Speaking of the children, though, before we move on, that little girl that was writing the card to her mom, I recognized her. Did you watch the Santa Clauses on Disney with Tim
No,
Allen? Oh my
no.
gosh. I liked that series so much. I forced my babies to watch it over and over and over again. It's the Santa Claus movie turned into a series, and this little girl plays, I forget the actor's name, Hoot. She plays, a little girl that ends up going to the North Pole. She's a human though, and like helps her dad not ruin Christmas, whatever. And she was so stinking cute. And I was like, that's her. That's
Oh, I
all.
love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay.
So good.
So speaking of kids, they wrap up dinner and we've given a lot, but this is actually where Cynthia's husband is introduced at the end of dinner. And he comes in and he tells the children to say a prayer. And
Hmm.
at this point, he recognizes that there's another child at the table because the
Doesn't
table is so
doesn't raise
long.
an eyebrow about it, but he
But
does recognize.
he does say, whose child are you? And
Yep.
Natalia says, 22, defensively. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll leave you alone. And, you know, Cynthia comes back into her motherly role and she says, okay, dinner's over, bad time. Natalia flinches. Um, and
No,
then,
she refuses. Yeah.
yes, she refuses and she's irritated
Mhm.
by the question. And then, she's like, oh, okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But are you sure you don't want to stay over for a movie? And one of the other kids try to convince her to stay over for a movie. And so it's like this constant pressure that you're talking about, this peer pressure, this family pressure, where Natalia feels pressure to stay over, not take a bath. Um, and we find them in the living room watching a movie together.
And it's so sweet though, Kendall. That's the thing. That's was the thing about Cynthia. At least I felt it was the girl. I think they're calling her Jelly. I think her name is Jordan. They're calling her Jelly. It was the girl who was like, "Oh, but can Natalia stay for the movie? Will you please?" And Natalia has already kind of got a friendship budding there with the girl that could really, I think, convinces her to stay. And Natalia's like really tempted by the normalcy, the
About the
potential for some
normalcy.
normalcy, by the potential of some family love event that is so foreign to her. And it actually was really sweet, and you get a sense that, oh my god, she's not in that nasty apartment. Her belly is full. She could take a bath if she weren't refusing, and the lady has been nice to her. She definitely stole her groceries and had her children get those groceries out of the car, and Natalia definitely clocked it,
Yeah.
but she was somewhere safe and comfortable and
And
with people
warm.
who were and warm with people who seemed nice.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very interesting
Juxt- the juxtaposition is
yes,
jarring.
it is. And you kind of teeter-totter, and it's directed so beautifully because you're feeling what Natalia feels. This seems right, though I'm pretty sure I'm being used, but if it's certainly not what Christine was doing to me. So in a lot of ways it's better, but I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to be being used. But I feel so much better here.
I remember I lived in LA and I don't smoke marijuana like that. I really don't. But I wanted to, it's LA. And I remember there was a guy who was my neighbor who like was always seemed to be home whenever I was like walking past the door. So I really don't know if the gentleman had a job or not, but I always saw him and he was always indulging in marijuana. And one day I was like, "Hey, do you know where I can get some marijuana?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah,
Ah.
yeah, 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 yeah." He was ready for it, and he was like, "Yeah, you got $50?" And me, I've never bought marijuana before.
It don't cost
Um,
$50.
then what you say?
It don't cost $50.
So, where were you? So I give the man $50 and he's like, okay, 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 I'll be back. So I saw him like the next day, like, cool. And he gives me like this thing. And then I go upstairs to a thing full of marijuana, I'm assuming. And I go upstairs to my roommate at the time. Shout out to my roommate Embryo. God bless you. And I show her what's in there, and she's like, she shakes me, and she's like, Kendall, that's oregano. That's all shake. There's nothing in there. And I remember thinking, felt like he was using me, but I didn't know. I
Oh my
didn't
goodness.
know. I know that was a long story, but I'm saying that I'm illustrating all that just to say is that sometimes we feel like people are using us, but what are we to do about it? We just
Right.
kind of want to see it through because, like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do about it? So, but I did learn the lesson. I never talked to that man again after he gave me that oregano shake. But I was older and I wasn't
Shakedown.
Talia's age. But I'm saying that we all fall victim and prey to sometimes when we just like need something and we're willing to sell or give a part of ourselves that we normally wouldn't give or do.
Yeah. Yeah. You
All right.
wanted weed in the
And
tongue.
so that's another story for another day, right? So so then after that, we find Natalia has gotten comfortable and she falls asleep as she wakes up though, and she overhears the man's Richard and Cynthia talking about her. They're
Yeah.
talking about her, they're discussing her, but they're also discussing
Each other.
their interactions and
Mhm.
their experiences with taking in children off the street. And we find that they have had some kerfuffles taking in children off the street before. We
Mhm.
find that Natalia is one in a line of kids that they have taken in, but they've experienced some turbulence from some of the other parents about how they've taken the children in. So that's a little bit of an indicator of also what kind of business they're running here.
Yeah. It's also very interesting, Kendall, that these are some questionable right now they paint the man to be more savory than Cynthia. But it's a questionable couple, but they have absolutely no doubt in their mind that that girl is not 22, which goes to say, well, what about all those other adults who were seemingly okay and labeled this girl as 22? You know, it begs the question, well, who is good guy and who's bad guy and what are the levels there?
Yeah, you know,
Because
Michelle, what I say is that a broken clock is right 2 times a day. That's one of the sayings I live by. It is a broken clock will still tell you the time 2 times a
it
day.
will. It will. It will. I appreciate that. Um, they're saying things like, "Oh, well, so and so's mom is complaining about visitation, and Cynthia has a rebuttal for everything." Well, that lady is crazy, or that lady is she. I don't bump her. Basically, is what she's saying. And Natalia hears it all, and then just talk about the fact that her ID says 22, but she's clearly not.
Yeah.
And Natalia, she hears all that.
She hears all of it, but she falls back asleep and it's
Yeah.
fine. And she wakes up in the morning and Cynthia is standing over her and she says, "It's time for church."
And Natalia says, "Isn't it Tuesday?" It's just like every day that ends in day is a day to pray.
And Natalia's like, the only thing that goes up on the Tuesday is a club. The club goes up on a Tuesday. But Cynthia's like, no.
Well, I like Natalia was confused. Now, don't get me wrong. I stay up in the church, especially
Yeah.
right now while I'm doing something, but not Tuesday daytime, child. And the church was predominantly, really, it was predominantly their children.
But I wrote sparse. Sparse.
Oh,
It
yes,
all
sparse.
it was a sparse service, and all the kids were going up to testify.
It was a sparse sir. It's also Tuesday.
It's also Tuesday. It's also
And so
Tuesday.
is this his job? And why were the kids not in school? Was it summertime? I had so many questions about going to church on Tuesday during the daytime, child.
And why
Uh,
were the kids testifying?
Look here, let the children testify. But you get a sense that, they had been trained to do that. They had
And
been taught to do that.
indoctrinated and dogmatized is what I wrote down. Yeah.
Yeah. I yeah.
So the service ends, and we see this. We see the kids are well trained, and we see that he is, you know, Mr. Mans is running the church,
Hmm.
and it's time for Natalia to go home after this because this whole time, actually, Natalia hasn't asked him to go home. She really has been saying like, "Can I go home?"
She
But
does.
we find them not at home. We find them at a doctor's office.
And it took some coaching for her to get out of the car. But Cynthia was like, I know, but, and she always has something. I don't remember what this one was. She dangles something over Natalia to have her way. And as adults, Kendall, we're like, you do need to go to the doctor, child. So thankfully she does make it in. And this is where we meet My favorite character in the series thus far, this doctor, her real name is Stacy Greenwell. Kendall, were you not in love with her?
I loved her.
She had the pregnant pauses. Her and Cynthia get into it. So, she's having a normal like pediatric with the visit with the girl, asking her questions, saying this, saying that, and the more questions she asks, Cynthia chimes in and does something to deflect or to detract. She's like, "Oh well, it's kind of the paintings in here are a little scary," and the doctor says, "My daughter painted that."
I know. The more because the doctor's trying to get down to the root of it.
Yeah.
And what Cynthia wants to do is just put a band-aid over the situation and give me something, give me something, give me something. But the doctor is smarter than a fifth grader.
Yes.
And she's very much like, what is happening here? So she is asking probing questions, and Cynthia is irritated, and the two go at it. But I realized that I feel like this is one of Cynthia's things. She turns up the pressure because she's trying to get something out of the situation. She
Yep.
doesn't know what she's trying to get out of the situation, but she starts to apply pressure.
Yes. She's pushing the buttons, as you're saying, so that the person will become distracted from what they're actually trying to do. And she's having a particularly difficult time this time because this lady is smart. She's reading, she's providing such excellent care, Kendall. I had to stop
Mhm.
there as a mom. I was like, she's doing what so many doctors don't do. Even for adults, you can't just be, oh, okay, so how you been feeling sad? Well, you take a walk. No, 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 no. You need to administer the depression test, look at the score, and then get that person some help. And in this case, she could tell something was off with Natalia. She felt like she was looking at an abused child, and she said, "I'm sorry. What is your relationship with this child?" Because she kept answering for Natalia or detracting, and uh I think Cynthia doesn't answer right away, but then she says, "I am her mom," and Natalia's looking like, "That's news to me, child."
Happy Mother's Day.
Um, That's news to me, child. As a mom, I was just like, this doctor was determined to do her job well. And she says, "Well, I'm seeing all of this on your chart, but you have quite a bit of requests or prescriptions for drugs, for pain meds, and I just don't see, has that something you've been doing for a while? I just don't see why you would have all that, being a child." And I think, I don't know, that's when you start to think, okay, so Cynthia is trying to get her pain meds, maybe to sell, maybe to take herself, and she dials it up, like you said, with depression. She's like, "Okay, well," and she raises her voice, and she was like, "Well, we're just gonna go," which she could tell was going to trigger the doctor into conceding. She was going to
Conceding
concede
and compromising.
and compromising because she wanted to help Natalia at all costs. So she said, "Okay, well, no, 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 no. Let's just wait. Let's wait and see. How about this? Let's do some imaging and then you come back," because she knew if she could come back, she could be prepared
For the
for
next
it
time
when
that
she
she
came
saw her.
for the next time that she saw her. So really and truly, both people get their way.
Both people
This
get their way,
both people get their way.
but before, because the doctor's two steps ahead, but Cynthia's one step ahead. So people are ahead in all of this. So she says we're gonna do some imaging, but I can, and Cynthia's rightly so. Well, what is my daughter supposed to do for the next 2 weeks? What is she supposed to do for the next 2 weeks? And the doctor's like, well, I can prescribe her getting a
Some
walker
shoes.
and
Yeah.
some shoes. I can do that for you. And then Cynthia, being the true rider of the system that she is, says,
Are we gonna have to pay for
um,
that?
Medicare gonna pay for that?
Yeah.
Doctor's like, no. Who's Medicare? Never met her, don't know her. And and then she says, uh, no, but does disability, is she on disability?
Yeah.
And that is when Natalia reveals her hand that she didn't even know that she had. And she says yes. She says yes. And then Cynthia's like, oh, okay. I've just won. There's that one step ahead. I know something else about you. I know something else about you. That's also the thing, Michelle, about strangers. Because they all always want to know. Going back to the man who tried to sold me that weed, he always seen me pull up in my car. He knew that I worked. He knew that I was one of those people. I didn't even tell you that I had given him a ride to the weed store. All of these things were building trust with me. And with Natalia, it's like all of these little things that she's figuring out about Natalia's circumstance and their little lies and their little things that she's able to put together who Natalia is before Natalia can even tell her who she is. I found out. You get EBT cards and you're on disability. Check
I
one,
was
check two.
I was just about to say she very well could have had another child in there with disability and probably had before. But one of the things I didn't see until you just laid it out like that, Kendall, is that might have been while she was one of the reasons why she was dialing up that pressure. She probably knew Medicaid or care, whichever one it is, was not going to cover that. And she probably knew that that next question was going to be, and what about disability? And then here go the pregnant pause.
Well, that was the longest pregnant pause in the show, actually.
And when Natalia said yes, she was like, "Here we go." Then the next thing you know, they're in the car.
They're in the car.
Oh, can I just say one thing about Stacey Greenwell? Because she just played the mess out of this doctor part, and it gets even better when she comes back. She's from DC. Um,
Oh, hey.
well, let me not say she was from DC. She was living in DC, and she was practicing law, I believe. And she decided that she finally wanted to follow her passion, so she moved to New York, went to the school that got an MFA at the studio for actors, and then moved to LA and booked, and it's been booking. I was like, look at you. She's so good. And I thought it made so much sense because she had a natural professional of this about like I at first when I was reading her bio, I thought, oh my God, she's a doctor. And they just plugged her in there. She was so good. Anywho,
Very good.
they're in the car and Cynthia is trying her next bag of tricks to get the next thing that she wants, which is this girl's social security disability.
You know, I want to can we just say something really quickly? I think there is. I have a mother. I love my mother. And my mother loves me. She's a great mom. But I want to say something about what you just said because you have a mother, and I know you love your mother, and she loves you. But
Love my mom. She's a great mom. Love my mom.
mothers have bags of tricks that they will pull out on us.
Oh yes, Henny.
And so the fact that you just said bag of tricks is so true that this woman is equipped with bag of tricks that she keeps pulling out on this young girl, and Natalia is not ready for it. I'm sorry, keep going, but it's true. My
Yeah.
mother will pull out some things on me that's like, oh my god, mom.
She uses this wonderful reverse psychology that I was kind of like, I need to use this with my children. This kind of, oh, well, you want to go? No, I don't want to do that. Oh, okay. Doesn't matter to me.
All
What
right,
she said something like, no sweat off my back.
no sweat on my back.
Oh, I love the way that lady talked so calm. But so she's like, so I was just thinking that, essentially maybe you could just write it over to me and I could take the check so you don't have to worry about your mom knowing about you getting them or, whatever. And Natalia's just like thinking about it, wheels are spinning. Natalia's actually really bright.
Yes.
Um, and she says, you should not have said that you were my mom. And the lady says, you're right. I shouldn't have.
And because right before this though, Natalia is flipping out and she slaps
Yeah.
her hand.
Yes, she does. She smacks her hand, and the lady just kind of deals with it and, knows that Natalia is processing and is upset. And I'm sorry I hit you. You made me do it. I'm sorry about that. And Cynthia's like, it's okay. It's okay. And Cynthia says,
She goes back into her bag of tricks.
yes, I know I shouldn't have said that, but sometimes a white lie gets you faster to where you need to be rather than the truth. I wrote that thing down. I bolded it. I underlined it. I said, she's telling Natalia her tactics, her mantras. I live by this. Jesus and white lies, honey, can get you far.
And then she goes on to say, why don't you just, we'll clean you up, we'll switch the check, it'll come to me. Don't worry about your family. I'll handle that. And just stay with us for 2 more weeks until those imaging results come back. Just stay
Mhm.
with us. And it's that bag of tricks that's stringing you along, that's stringing you along. That's gold. It's gold.
Yes. Yes. And she gives her little bits of concessions to make Natalia feel like she still has some control because she said, I wanted to go home. You said we were gonna go home. She's like, okay, we can go by your house. We'll go by your house and I'll check the mail, check on the place so your mom doesn't have to you don't have to worry about your mom thinking anything is going on. And when they go, Kendall, a car drives by with apparently a very familiar car to Natalia. I can't make out that bumper sticker. I figured you might have known if it was an Indiana thing.
It says IUPUI,
What is that?
Indianapolis University of. It's basically a small Indianapolis university
Okay.
in Indianapolis, and
Okay.
remember they're up in Muncie, so this card is
Right.
going from Indianapolis, where they live, up to Muncie.
Yeah. Yeah. And Natalia ducks down and says, please, please, please don't, please don't, please don't. And they make it out okay. But she's gonna see that car again and get equally scared another time when they're at the park.
Yeah. So they officially changed her benefits, though, and this is the part that you love. After checking the mail and all of these things, they go to the office, the welfare office, and they officially change Natalia's benefits to make Cynthia the benefactor.
Pregnant pause. And you want me to put it in this lady's name?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And Natalia actually was just like, "Murmur," and Cynthia's over there like, yes, it's coming to me, baby girl.
Yeah.
So after they get the check, 2 weeks have passed, and now we are back at the doctor's office. I wish my doctor's appointments came this quickly because we are back to back to back to back.
I'm
We
telling you,
get
these doctor office scenes are some of the best scenes of the entire series.
they are
If
great.
you ask me, the build is just perfect and it's popping off like this. Um, they're having she's having another visit with the doctor and she says, okay, so actually it's actually quite simple. If we look here, here's the imaging of her hips. Well, if you see here, her hips aren't closed right here, and makes her a perfect candidate for this surgery where we just close the hips. But the truth about it is her hips should be closed. Stacey Greenway,
Because
You did not talk like this, but your acting was so good that this is what I'm getting from it. Because she is not 22, she's a child, and they
yes.
would be closed if she was 22. So I'm gonna open the door. Can you come in here? And Cynthia
This
says,
was like
"What? Excuse me? You had this man out here. Who is this?"
this was daytime TV, literally, because she's like, behind door number one is the detective. But in this whole moment, we got to paint the picture. We got to paint the picture. So the father is there for this doctor's appointment. That's number one. That's a little different than the first time. Number
Yes, he's
two,
there.
the mother, Cynthia's phone keeps on ringing and she keeps saying that it's spam.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
while they're trying to deduce what's happening with Natalia and understanding that Natalia is not an adult, as she is saying, they get the detective bounced onto them, and he comes in hot. I mean, like a firecracker, and says, "Oh, I know y'all. What y'all doing here? You guys trying to traffic this child? She's only 20. She's not 22 years old. This girl is a child. And also, I know that you guys have had issues in the past because people have said yada, yada, yada about the last child that you guys have had. So you guys have a track record of trafficking children.
And you took her to the office and got checks written in your name for her. So I know y'all are, the block is hot.
All of this, and at this point, Natalia has had enough. She's actually has a breakdown
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
In all this while it's Halloween. Can we talk about this? It's
Yeah.
Halloween and she's wearing a Minions costume. But the real thing about this that I found to be very interesting that the producers made this happen on Halloween is that Halloween represents all of us wearing these masks. We're all playing these different characters.
Mhm.
And in this moment, for Natalia, it's stripped away, but she still can't let go of the mask that Christine has put on her, saying that she's 22 years old. When the reality is, this x ray is telling you that you're not. So, this episode was really wonderful because I think it happening on Halloween shows just all the different costumes that we all wear.
Yeah. Can you still hear me, Kendall?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I can't see you right now, but I am still here. One of the things that
Turn your camera off and then turn it back on.
okay. I'm just looking for one little button. There we go.
Because that's what I have.
One of the things that I wrote down on this scene, Kendall, was Natalia can't trust adults. I mean, even Dule comes in like Captain Save him, and you have this whole you have this whole ordeal in front of her potential abusers. What did you think was going to happen? And you reaching into in her face like, Natalia, I'm here. You can tell me. I know this is strange, and you don't know me, but you can trust me. Well, that's what those mofos over there just said. And so did so and so and so and so and so and so. Y'all adults don't have it together. And you have all that he can end up doing is hand this girl his business card in front of Cynthia.
And the,
Call
yeah. Yeah.
call me if you need me. Like, wait, what? This the best you could come up with? And the dad said it. That was the other thing. Again, the juxtaposition of the accusation, and then they were actually quite calm, especially the daddy. The daddy is just like, he was trying to get to the truth. This is how they're playing it here in this fictional series. He's trying to get to the truth. Okay, and they're both listening. Okay, well, what's your answer to this? Because they don't know where she came from,
Yeah.
which was
But you know what?
such a complex thing, that they're trying to get at the abusers, but the original abusers aren't there, and the new folks are just abusing for something else, but they treat her
Yes.
better than the original, and then he's coming like, I don't know what's going on,
Yes.
and I can't arrest you. And the doctor's like, I was just trying to get this girl some help.
Michelle,
They are
yes.
helpless. No one can do anything to help this little girl. I didn't say any of that into the mic, but no one can do
Yeah.
anything to help this little girl. And they failed Natalia again.
Yes. It's you. I really just want to just say you hit the nail on the head. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants something. Ugh. So they don't arrest him. He gives her his laminated business card. Says call me when you get to a payphone because she doesn't have a phone. Um and they're and this is actually how I know, going back to what I said, a broken clock is right 2 times a day. The car ride is somber. They get in that car and the parents are shocked and quiet because they're trying to figure out what's going on too. They're
Yeah.
running a scheme and they're trying to figure out if they're getting a scheme ran on them. They don't know what's going on. But the kids are in the car and it's Halloween and everyone is happy. Then on the radio is blasting Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. Shout out to the music director, but also they got budget because that's not cheap to play that song on a streaming platform. That ain't cheap. But as they're playing the song and the kids are in a great jovial mood and the parents are somber, the phone rings again. And
Yep.
for some reason, Cynthia just wants to answer it because she's tired of these spam phone calls and she wants to know who's blowing up her line. Is it a bill collector? Did you not pay your taxes? She wants to know who it is. And when she answers the phone, who is it?
Christine Barnett. I understand you have Natalia. Yes, I do.
You know, I love it
Well,
when people say, I understand you. I understand that you have, I understand that you may, I understand. I love that phrase. I
I
understand.
use it all the time.
Yeah.
I do, because it's like it's an opportunity. I'm not going to say you do have, because then you'll be like, I'm blah, 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 blah.
I'm establishing the facts from the moment I
Yes.
open my mouth. I
I'm a,
understand that.
I'm establishing the facts, but if you want to challenge them, now is the time. So I understand that. And then you just like, uh-huh. Anywho, she says, "Oh, well, you better be careful because she's very dangerous and you shouldn't have her around all of your family." And this is on speaker, so everybody is hearing it. And Jelly looks at Natalia like, "Girl, what you finna do up in here?" And
I know. I know.
Natalia's jaws on the floor,
I
and
mean,
Cynthia says,
she's traumatized. She's more
"Yeah,
traumatized this episode than last episode.
yeah, she really is." Because that's how much they abused her. She was terrified. They were successful in scaring the poop out of this little
The
girl.
poop out of her.
She, I mean, look at her. She was going to and from GED class, feet bleeding, sitting, eating trash, all because she was terrified of the repercussions. Um,
But again, Natalia has had enough.
yeah.
So as Christine tells her man to put her man's, whose last name is
Cynthia.
Man's. I keep saying Christine. Oh my gosh, Christine is talking about me. She's somewhere saying, "What are we were talking about her on the podcast?" Cynthia is wants to go to war on the phone with Christine, and she tells her husband to pull over. She
Yeah.
hopped out of the car, and Natalia takes it as her opportunity to hop out of the car too and run down to wherever she's gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah. You get the sense that Cynthia tells Christine off,
Yeah.
and Natalia runs through a crowd of costume people, and finally Cynthia stumbles upon her and says, "Hey, girl, you ran off. I know what's going on." And
But
Cyn-
wait, but
yeah.
wait, but wait, because this is I think this for me was the most important. This was the aha moment. And to be
Hmm.
honest with you, I don't know if the producers put this in there. I don't know if this is actually what happened in real life. This is where I'm kind of at a loss for words. But seriously, I would love to know your take on this. Uh, as Natalia is running through the field of costumes and she's hopped out of the car and she's running, all we see is flashbacks. And this whole episode has been full of flashbacks of
Right.
Christine's voice abusing her, Christine's voice traumatizing her, Christine just being a menace. I'm an abusive parent. But in this, it gets very specific because she's seeing
Oh,
a flashback
yes.
of her. Natalia is crawling up the stairs, and
Hmm.
Christine is pissed because something has happened at the dentist office. And we
Hmm.
actually see Christine strike Natalia
Hmm.
several times. She's literally hitting her and hitting her. And she, you know, says, I'm sick of you. I'm sick of your stuff. And you know what you need to do to cool off for a bit and as punishment? Walk around the block. Walk around the
Yep.
block with no shoes on. With no shoes on, no socks on, barefoot.
She says, "No, no, no, no shoes. I want this one to really stick. I want you to really think about what you did."
And so we go upstairs after this whole terrible punishment has happened. And we see Natalia after she's endured this punishment. And what does she do, Michelle?
She puts on, no, she takes off, excuse me, she takes off her bloody socks. And you have this moment of aha, like, that is where those bloody socks come from.
I don't know if that is incredible writing. I don't know if that's what actually happened, but for the life of me, as someone who has followed the story, I could never figure out where those bloody socks came from. I never figured it out. I'm like, where did they come from? Does that mean that she has been abusing this girl from that time?
I wondered as well, Kendall, if it was brilliant writing or if it was based on something factual. But when she pulls those socks off, you instantly go back to that earlier episode, and then even then, I started to think that the whatever I was getting technical about how the blood was on the sock or whatever, but it was brilliant. If it isn't based in truth, it was absolutely brilliant, and it was
But
the
even still,
perfect
though, even
picture.
still, if it's not from the abuse, it could just be that Natalia needed surgery for so long that when she walked, her foot, like all
Yeah,
of
her
that
feet were
tracks
bleeding.
for me.
Yes, yeah, yeah, definitely. Very possible. Very possible. Um, yeah, yeah. It was that was a jaw dropper. For real, for real.
So Cynthia goes off. She's finished. She told off Christine. She
Yeah.
finds Natalia. Natalia is out of her flashback. And Natalia is terrified and she demands to know what Christine has said about her. And she tells her, she says, Cynthia said that you were A plus B equals C squared.
And you tried to get her man, and she was like, "If that's gross,
And
that's
you try to
gross."
yeah, man. She did say that. And Cynthia's not buying any of it. Cynthia's
And
not buying it. She
no,
reassures Natalia that everything is okay. And she is there to help, that's in quotations, everyone, her.
Natalia has this. It's actually a really, again, another sweet moment, if that's the word you want to use, with Cynthia. Um, who you have to kind of believe there's something good in there because of how well she does it, but then you also know she's running these schemes and things. But Natalia asked her, well, she was right about this one thing. I did, I did hit you and I did do this and that. So maybe she's right about everything. Is it true that no one will ever love me?
Mm,
And oh God, that was hard.
that was hard.
It's especially because you just have to think that she truly did believe that. She
Yeah.
truly did wonder about that. And Cynthia says, well, no, it can't be true. No, that's not true because I've only known you for a little bit of time and I love you.
And I love you.
And Natalia accepts that. I think there was a part of her that's kind of like, well, can you really love me? But it also, there were some actions that lined up with it. It's one thing for you to say you love somebody and then you don't have anything to show for it. But there was some evidence. And she wanted it. She wants it. And you can tell that that was Natalia's decision to say, I will put my guards down if you will indeed love me.
So they
And
say
there,
a prayer.
yeah, they say a prayer,
They spray apple juice on each other,
like some type of anointing. Yes,
which was uh, which was really sweet,
it was. It
very
was.
sweet.
Cynthia's a very good mom, kind of.
And finally, we see, you know, Natalia is in a bath. She's taking a bath with Cynthia. She's finally in a bath. Another
Mm-hmm.
level of letting your guard down with
Mm-hmm.
your mother. She's letting your guard down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Shout out again to the music producer. I have to keep saying this because they have a budget. They're playing Rihanna "Stay"
Yes,
while
they
they're,
are.
and I'm like, this is easily $100,000, $200,000. So shout out to y'all budget right there, and a great song choice. And after the bath, they're back in church, and what happens?
Natalia, folks are giving testimonies. I passed my math test and this, that, and the third.
They did
And
say I passed my math.
look here, a testimony is a testimony. I've had a testimony of
I'm with you.
passing a test. But her mom says, well, Cynthia says, oh, look at me calling her mom already. Cynthia says, well, you can go if you want. Everybody goes. You can go if you're ready. And Natalia is holding Dulay's card, thinking, do I go this route with the authorities or do I take what's in front of me right here with this lady who says she loves me? And she puts the card in her pocket. And you're to believe that she probably got up and told a testimony.
Mm.
And she's in the family now.
God is so good.
Amen.
And not belittling any of that fact, but how God can be used against people is just so sad.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just a righteous indignation that a lot of people use, and a type of almost blasphemy that they use, and they purport themselves in these places to be to speak for God, but God speaks for himself. And I think that's like the more interesting thing that I'm watching and I always find to be very interesting. You know, not to go too left, but I love anything true crime. That's why we're talking about this show. But one of my more interesting and favorite, I use that in quotations, stories is Jim Jones and that whole
Mhm.
thing where
Yeah.
that pastor had all of those people on the island and it was terrible. But it's really interesting just be watching how religion can, whatever the religion the person is, whether you're Christian, Muslim, whatever, Jewish, how that can just be used to sway you. Because uh, I think religion really, you want to believe the best in everybody. You just want to believe the best.
Yeah. I actually didn't look at it that way. And I'm not saying that's not in there, and it might just because I have a different lens, because I believe that even when there may be folks who say that they're called to give the message, but you can tell they're kind of not. I feel that God can still be there. God is still in folks' hearts, and even though you don't know what you're doing, and you might have been doing something out of order or not truthfully, doesn't mean I don't still have God in my heart and that I don't feel him in this place, that you just might not be, the leader for me. So I say
Mhm.
that to say those children may have been given testimonies that, they believed in their hearts. And at this particular time, for me anyways, I didn't see the religion that they had to be something that was swaying Natalia or used to sway Natalia. I saw it more so as this was a part of the family's identity, a
Mm.
part of their practice. And for her to be a part of the family, it was something that she was going to have to adopt, which you can have your own opinion about that. But that's kind of the come from that I have.
I hear that. I receive that. I receive that. I think for me, it also goes back to just like basically what you said. A broken clock is right 2 times a day. Maybe that's what the name of this episode is too, because I do believe that. Let them use you. Thank you, Michelle. Are we unpacked?
I think that we have unpacked, and I think this was my favorite episode thus far.
I love that.
Yeah.
Was it my favorite? It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. Okay. So what?
Mhm.
Until next week?
Until next week for episode 7. Kendall, we only have 2 more episodes left.
I'm shocked. I'm shook.
Well,
I'm Natalia in the doctor's office. I can't speak. You're
my daughter
Cynthia.
painted that.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for unpacking this episode with us. Be sure to follow both of us, Kendall and Tron, here on Instagram and Michelle Elaine Official on Instagram. We'll be back next week with so many more things to unpack, but we're so thankful that you guys tuned in with us. And Michelle, take us out.
You can.
A
Cat got
rose.
your tongue.
A rose is still a rose.
Well, a rose is, you should pick up a rose. Is still a rose. Come on now. Just
So
get it.
far.
It's right there. Baby girl, you're still a flower. He can, I don't know the words, leave you, take you, make you, and break you. Don't, we're going to have to owe some royalties in a minute. Let's stop. You
Good
hold the
night.
power. Bye.